one vital fact I would like to submit.
Yeah, there you go. Well, what's cracking, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. You know, this wonderful Tuesday night. Hopefully staying safe and sane. You know what I'm saying? My name is AJ, one half of this wonderful and amazing dynamic duo. And as always, it is my honor to welcome you to the Poiema Studio podcast. Let me also introduce, before we introduce my amazing guest, my amazing co-host.
Thank you, AJ. That was a very passionate introduction.
I'm trying to switch it up, you know what I'm saying? Mix it up a little bit.
Yes, this is Gabby here at Poiema Studio Podcast, bringing awareness to mental health with the mission of preventing suicide. And yes, our amazing guest today is Jose. How do we meet for the first time? Oh, wait. You reached out to me about suicide prevention, right? But before we talk about that, share a little bit about why you're here, what brought you here, where you're from, anything that you'd like to share about yourself.
Jose Contreras here. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate
thank you for coming.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, so we met through social media.
Yes.
I saw a lot of your posts regarding mental health and more exclusively suicide prevention.
Uh-huh.
So it triggered an interest.
Yes.
Now that I used to be suicidal,
Okay.
which was the whole thought behind mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then why am I here? I believe in your mission.
Thank you.
I believe in your purpose.
Thank you so much.
And then especially because since I met you about, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, you've been doing the same. You're constant after your purpose, after your passion. You're not one of those that comes through social media and then disappears and comes back with new material. You disappear for 6 months. You're constant day after day with
Thank
purpose.
you.
So that's why.
Thank you. And it's always like we say, it's not the easiest thing, but it's like, even if it's just a little bit of a change, little by little. And so I know that you introduced me to Gladys, who's also, we'll talk about how Gladys was part of your life. And so I appreciate you being here. And I look forward to also having some episodes in Spanish. We want to, bring awareness to the Latino community. So if you want, we could start where we're from. That's another thing. We're from Zacatecas. Arriba Zacatecas hoy, porque last time was all about Durango. So this time, Arriba Zacatecas. So you were born there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what age did you get to the United States?
So I'm 34. I came to the States when I was about 5.
Okay.
Straight from Zacatecas. And then we lived, I'm the oldest of 7.
Oh, wow.
The family, big family.
Okay.
I have a twin sister.
Okay.
A twin sister. And then we used to live in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we lived there for 5-6 years until my dad found work in the suburbs.
Okay.
And then we moved from Chicago to Addison.
Okay.
Hey, shout out Addison.
Yeah. And then that's where I grew up. I went to school there, elementary, and then high school.
High school. Okay. So share a little bit about like what you're passionate about, like when it comes to mental health, like what brought you there, like what was your experience? And again, thank you for being here. I know that you're gonna open your heart to share your story with the audience, and thank you so much for your vulnerability, because I think that through sharing stories like yours, we bring awareness and just give hope to those that may be watching this YouTube video.
Right. So 34. Let's go back to 2003.
Okay.
That's when everything started. So I had barely turned 16.
Okay.
It was, normal summer for me. And then that's when my very first episode of anxiety and panic attacks came through.
Okay.
So since I was new to it, I didn't know how to respond. So I got scared. And then as my anxiety got worse, I started getting more panicky. Mm-hmm. And then with the whole thought of what's going to happen next, like living under that mindset, triggers depression.
Yeah. So what was your and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's important that we help those out there, like, 16-year-olds that may be experiencing, or maybe those parents out there that may have a child that is experiencing this. What were your symptoms?
confusion. Like right at the beginning, confusion, lack of energy, fatigued. I couldn't focus. Sweaty, sweaty palms.
Sweaty palms.
Lack of my appetite went all over the place. My sleep cycle was off track. But the very first symptoms, I would say, heart palpitations and just like intrusive thoughts. You know, like what's going on? What's going to happen? Why am I feeling like this? And that's when it gets out of control.
Okay. And then that's when you started with panic attacks.
Yeah. So it escalated to a panic attack because eventually I lost control. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to respond. I don't know what's going on. Who am I? And eventually the panic attack goes away. It's only a couple of seconds, maybe a minute or two, but it feels like it's an eternity, you know? And then once that goes away, you live under this cloud of just thoughts of thinking this episode might come back at any moment, at any time. If I'm at school or eating or driving or whatever the case might be. So that whole thought just triggers depression because, you know, you live sad just thinking what's going to happen. That's, yeah.
And you were 16, so you must have been like a sophomore in high school.
It was my sophomore it was that summer before junior year.
Okay. What was it like, you know, sharing these symptoms or this experience with your family? Like, how did you say, I need help? Like, and how were they receptive of this?
The only ones that knew about this were my family members, my mom, my father, and my siblings. And I never opened it up to my friends until years later.
Wow.
Yeah, years later. Not even a month later or two. Years went by before they knew what was going on. And then when I told them, they were like, we never imagined you were going through this because you faked it so well. You know, we thought you were fine because you would smile all the time and you would hang out with us. But I was never at my 100% capacity of socializing or being there.
And what was it like with it? Like, you know, did you have these episodes during school, and like how did you cope with it at such a young age? And what was that like, you know, for those young 16-year-olds old, those youth in high school that maybe like, I feel like that's the age where you start having these symptoms. That's what they say right now. Like, that's the age where it triggers a lot of emotions like that.
Yeah. So the number one thing they would do would be to step out of the house, fresh air. That moment you breathe fresh air and you know, you go out for a walk or walk your dog or whatever the case may be, it triggers like just a bit of relaxation.
Okay.
That was my only way to cope with it because I didn't know what was anxiety or panic attacks. So I didn't know if maybe if anything, my mom would give me like, you know, like un tecito, like
some tea.
Yeah, like a little like the manzanilla and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's about
Chamomile.
it.
Yeah.
That's about it. 03, 04. I don't know if I used to Google stuff. Google was around already, but I just kept it to myself. And then I would step out of the house to just go for a walk, and then I would go out for a walk at like in the middle of the night or right before school, when I would get those symptoms that would trigger the anxiety.
So before, like, when did you get your diagnosis? Like, did you reach a point? Did you graduate high school and then get the help? Or how long did it go before you actually got a diagnosis?
So this happened in 03, right? My first episode. I didn't seek professional help until 07.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, 4 years later?
And that's when, at that point, my twin sister, that's when she's like, you really got to seek professional help. Because at that point, I was not socializing.
Okay.
I was not eating well. I was not sleeping well. I was not in school.
Wow.
It was just like a body walking through life without any purpose.
Wow.
And her boss at that time, I think she had a friend who was a therapist, Gladys Abuchaibe. And then I got referred to her.
Okay.
And then I was the one who took initiative to look for Gladys.
Wow.
Like you were saying earlier, I was the one who really wanted to recover my life.
Yeah.
Because I knew life before anxiety, before panic attacks. So I really wanted to recover my life, you know, and be socializing and sports and going to dances and having a girlfriend, like a normal life that anybody can have. So it was 07.
It was in
2007.
Wow, that's what we talk about. Like most people that, you know, become suicidal, like they have a diagnosis or they're going through symptoms, but they first of all, they don't even know what it is. And then second of all, are they around people that can actually say like, thank goodness that your sister was there to say, hey, you need to get help, you know, because what if she hadn't, you know?
Right. I don't know what would have happened. And I thought it was just me being a normal student, you know, like with the workload from school, working almost 40 hours at the job. I was like, it's probably just me.
Wow.
But I never thought it was called anxiety or panic attacks.
Yeah. And then you said that led to depression. Was that like, you know, 4 years after, or what makes you say
During that.
Okay.
From like 2003, 307, 08. That's when I was going like up and down with depression, anxiety, and the panic attacks. And then I met Gladys in 07, and that's when everything changed for the good.
For the good. Yeah. Tell us about what Gladys did with you, or like what were the tools that you learned from meeting a professional, because I believe that, you know, it's not some people definitely need professional help, you know. Some people can, you know, learn tools on their own and stuff like that, but when it gets to a point where it's affecting your lifestyle and now you have a professional, how was that like? And what made you go with Gladys? What made Gladys fit, you know, how was she a good fit for you?
Here's why. The same exact thing that I'm doing right now, she did with me. She went through the same thing many years ago with her own life.
Okay.
So she gave me her testimonial, and she opened up. She became vulnerable about
Yes.
what she went through. So that gave me hope.
Yes.
So you know what? If she went through it and she's here right now being a professional, me at 2021, I have hope to recover my life.
Yes.
You know, so when she opened up about her own personal episodes and everything, naturally I brought my cards down and I opened up about my own thoughts and my own feelings.
Yes.
So we clicked on the first appointment, which typically what I hear, a lot of patients go through multiple therapists.
I went through like 3 therapists before I even met one that I even liked. Like as a child, I went through like one, I think in freshman year, all the way up to like mid college, and I still didn't find one until like I moved back over here. So it takes time. Yeah, I think it's like anything. It's like finding a fit, you know, and finding somebody who, for lack of a better term, has your vibes, you know, who can understand your vernacular as well, who can understand the way you express yourself. I think that's very important.
Yeah, you nailed it. Same vibe. Because, I mean, it was a blessing. And the first appointment, within the first 60 minutes, I'm like, she's for me.
She's for you. Yeah. So hi to Gladys. She's been also on our another podcast with me, and I know that she has we need to get her in here in some way, but she is someone that just is very warming, and I think that that's what, you know, a lot of people need when they're struggling, someone that they could feel comfortable with. So after you started seeing Gladys, were there other life changes that you had to do just for yourself, like, you know, that you had to take the initiative of doing on your own?
A lot of life changes.
Life changes.
A lot. So, for example, it took me, I think, over like 2 years to fully 100% recover and say, hey, you're on your own now.
Wow.
Without me. I was severe everything. Like when she did that analysis thing they do, I had severe depression. I had severe anxiety, severe panic attacks, everything severe you can think of. So my number one concern was this. I told her, I'm like, whatever you do, don't get me hooked on medicine.
Okay.
You know, because you hear all these stories about people getting hooked. I'm like, that's my worst fear.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to get hooked on a pill for the rest of my life until I die. So since I was very severe, she said, I'm going to have to put you on something.
Okay.
But I'm going to be very careful on how I manage your medicine with the psychiatrist. And they did very well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had to put a lot of my own effort. So immediately she was like, you got to watch what you eat, what you drink, what you consume with your mind, exercise, and little by little, you're going to start seeing the difference. And I did.
Yeah. What was the hardest life change, I would say, for you at that age? Because you were, what, like 22 years old?
No, I ended up at Gladys's office at 20.
Oh, 20. Oh, wow. Okay.
14 years ago.
Okay. So what was the hardest part
Of
just like the lifestyle changes at that age? Because, you know, you're probably like young and you want to do things probably not to your best interest, maybe. I don't know. What was the hardest part?
The hardest part was this. She was like, be careful on what you tell people. Because we're going to have people who is going to tell you that's not good for you. You know, psychologists are for crazy people. I knew somebody who went through the same thing and never recovered. Stay away from those people because they're only going to bring you down mentally.
That's very important.
So, and you know me, you know, I open up about everything with anybody. So I was like, okay, so with you I can, not with you. With you I can, not with you.
Walks in the room, you're
Very,
like,
very-
you know.
Yeah.
Maybe you.
You gotta become very selective.
Yeah.
You know, and the point, the fact of being selective at that point, it's something that I've been using throughout my life, in personal life and in my business.
Yeah. No, and that I think is very important because you were actually part of the Poiema support group, and you brought that, you know, I guess wisdom and support to others. I think I paired you up with AJ, right?
Yeah, you did in the support group. I remember that.
Yeah.
That feels like forever ago.
I know it does feel like forever.
Centuries.
Yeah, and it is important to have the right people around you to give you that.
Your environment is very
Encouragement.
essential to your recovery. You know, you could have all the tools to get better, but you get into that same spot, the tools can be useless. You know, it's all about how you utilize the tools, and I guess where you utilize the tools. You know, I think that's very important because, like you said, you got to be conscious of what you intake, not only with food and drink, but mentally. So your environment is a big part of that. You know, like different emotions that can happen, different areas that bring different emotions. You know, like some people thrive better out in the wilderness than in the city. Definitely not me. That's for sure. I hate dirt. Dirt sucks so much. But yeah, for lack of a better word. I'm sorry. I went off on a rant about dirt. Jesus.
So, were you like one of your oldest siblings, or yeah?
I'm the oldest out of 7.
Yeah,
Were
out of the
you oldest?
7.
Wow.
Remember he said that? I was like,
He said 7 siblings. I didn't hear.
no,
the
he said he was
oldest.
the oldest. That's what got me. I was like, dang, son. So you had to share everything.
I
How
grew
far?
My
were,
bad.
how far were the hand-me-downs? You know, how far down the line did it go? Did it go all the way to the 7th child?
Well, it was, I had 2 brothers.
Yeah.
okay.
They used everything they can think of.
Oh man,
But you know what? It's good because I grew up sharing everything you can think of.
I think that's important too. I think
I might have been like in my mid-20s when I finally got my own room.
what?
And that's when I moved out of my house.
Wow.
Oh man.
So you grew up sharing bedroom, shoes, clothing, school
Yes.
supplies because you gotta make it work. Big family.
Yeah, with such a big family.
I was gonna ask, coming back to like the recovery. At what point did you personally recognize like that you were in a better place? You know, because I know it's not an overnight thing, but
Yeah.
I feel like there's a moment in everybody's life where it's like that moment it clicks finally, where it's like
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
cool.
Good question.
Yes.
I think it was when I finally went through. I had an episode, and I was able to manage everything from the beginning toward the end. So Gladys gave me the tools,
Okay.
you know, for me to be able to survive in the wilderness. You know,
Yes, sir.
she's like, you know, like for example, she gave me this analogy. She's like, the same way that somebody with a heart attack or high blood pressure or high cholesterol or a cancer, they take care of themselves for the rest of their life.
Okay.
Because it can happen at any moment. They can come back with that cancer, that heart attack, that brain tumor, whatever the case is. Same thing applies for you. Just because I'm gonna let you off the hook, it doesn't mean you're gonna be 100% fine for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You need to take care of yourself.
That's an awesome analogy, honestly, because I've been trying to tell people. I think because people don't see it, that it's not a physical ailment, it's not an ailment, but mental ailments are as severe as like physical ailments, like cancer and things of that nature. Like you said, you need to really take care of that, or else this can come back and you can regress back into a state of where you were previously or worse. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why we were talking about in the past about how we believe that checking up on your mental health should be like your physical health, because
Should have a
every
mental
year, like
checkup
even
every year.
children have like their physical exams at school.
Yeah,
They
did you
should
get
do,
this? Did you get that? Are you healthy here? Like that should be the same thing.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor, like, yo,
Same thing.
what's up? Like, how are you feeling? You know, how do you handle these situations? Things like that, you know, like find an elaborate way. But the thing is also to have trust, you know, and that's the hard part is finding somebody to trust. I think when it comes to talking about mental health, you know, we can apply the checkup, but I think we need to break the stigma first of being able to talk about it before people allow themselves to get those kinds of checkups and take this seriously.
You know what? Like, even though it's been 14 years, I still go back to Gladys at least once a year.
That's good.
'Cause, you know, you check your eyes, you check your
Exactly.
teeth, check your skin or whatever the case is. What about this?
Yep.
Or this?
Exactly.
Or your emotions. And I go back to Gladys at least once a year. If I'm under some sort of stress or some sort of like pressure from life in general, maybe twice a year. But it doesn't mean that I go back because I had a relapse.
You don't think? Would you think that like counseling would be like again, we're talking about ailments. You know, some people have to go counseling or therapy more than other people. Like some people have to go to the doctor more than other people because they have something that requires them to be there. You know, again, I think I really want to advocate for people that go to counseling. I think everybody should go to counseling and therapy. You know, even if you don't think you need it, you really probably do in a way, because we all need, I think, another perspective on what we're doing in our life that can maybe help us improve it, you know, or at least decrease some of the stress that we sometimes put on ourselves due to the past trauma or, you know, things of that nature from our subconscious as well. So I think it's really essential to really, again, break that stigma that, yo, seeing the counselor, the therapist is not for like cuckoos. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be on a murder binge or something or be like a psychopath. We're like, oh, send him to the counselor, send him to the therapist. You know what I'm saying? No, I think it should be like a doctor's checkup. Like if you need to go to the doctors, you go. You know, you don't really question it because you're like, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
Same thing, like you said, same thing up here.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially when you have like you're going through life changes. Also, maybe you're going through like a season in your life where you're more stressed than you usually are, because obviously chronic stress can be harmful to your mental health. So I feel like when you know you're going through something, maybe you're going through things in a relationship or things at a job. I know you recently are doing a whole transition in your job. You know, obviously you're acknowledging that, and you're like, all right, I maybe need to see Gladys a few more times than usual. So how do you observe those triggers, or like, you know, even as a man, like what are the things, like we want to bring more mental health awareness in the male you know, sector, because we know that I guess men are less likely to speak up. So what is it like, you know, for you?
So you see this, right? We all have a smartphone nowadays, and there's smart TVs and smart this and smart cars and smart this. But I think the smartest machine in the universe is our body.
Yes.
You know yourself inside out. When something hurts, if something's hurting there or here, or with an emotion or a thought,
Oh yeah, you're right.
you know. So I know myself very well. So I know myself when like, let's say I had a night where I couldn't sleep. Happened to anyone, right?
Yep.
But if I go through 2, 3, 4 nights with that, I'm like, that's a red flag.
Yes,
You know?
you're right.
Or my appetite. I love to eat, you know. So like if I go through a day with like I missed lunch or dinner or I didn't have an appetite, it can happen to anyone. But if this happens a second day, a third day, all week, I'm like, wait a minute, you know yourself really well. So that's one thing that I'm always aware of, you know.
I like that, but I think that's also something we need to teach, you know, because it's like a smartphone. Yeah, it's smart, but somebody taught it to be smart. You know, somebody made this to be smart. So same thing with us.
Man-made.
Somebody need, even though we're not like man-made, we still need our own touch, in the sense of a machine is going to be faulty at some point. So if you count us as a machine, we're going to need something to check that up, you know, because some people might be able to recognize those patterns where, yeah, I didn't eat this day, or that day. So it's a pattern. But some people are going to be like, I didn't eat this day, whatever. Yeah. And they're going to continually do that, you know? So I think I like that, but that's something we need to teach.
And you know, like with smartphones, for example, how often do you get a an update for a new software version.
Shit, every day.
When was the last time you upgraded your own software?
Yes.
Fucking.
I like that.
You know,
Yeah, when does your body send you a notification that this hasn't been backed up in like 6 weeks?
For
Because I get
real.
those every day. My phone hasn't been backed up in 7 years. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you know what? Like, I think if you open up about your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make you less of a man.
No.
You know, like makes you a stronger man.
Thank
Yes.
you. More men need to say that. For real. Again, thank you for
And
saying
do
that.
not just say it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, actions speak louder than words. But the first step is, of course, saying it too. Because hopefully we can get that across to other men. Like, yo, just express yourself. Like, what is it?
Yes.
We all naturally feel these things. You know, why are you fighting this?
And you know, when I went to Gladys, she was like, just keep in mind that this, what you're going through, can happen to anyone.
Yes.
The richest, the poorest, the ugliest, the cutest, the most handsome, the fittest, it can happen to anyone.
Yep.
You know, so that gave me like a little bit of a relief, because for some specific reason I was thinking it's only me going through this,
Yeah.
without knowing that there's millions of people going through.
I think that's what depression and anxiety gets you. A lot of people in depression and anxiety have this sense of, it's just me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's hard. I don't know. It really just entraps you in this box. So it's like you can only perceive this one thing. It's like tunnel vision in the worst way. You know, you only see this one awful thing. Everything else doesn't exist for some reason. You know, nobody else's emotions are real. You know, but just yours. You're the only one hurting. It's a weird thing that happens.
And that's where a lot of isolation comes in, because you think you're the only one going through
You think
it.
you're abnormal in a way.
And even what you said, like all your friends didn't know you were going through it. And maybe
Nobody.
some of them were even going through it. And I know that you've shared with me now, like how now you can notice it in people, how people come to you and talk to you about their experiences. And I think that that's a big thing too. Like, I think the more that we can, and this is what we hope to do in this platform, share it with people, we'll see people in a different way.
Yeah, I think the more this topic gets brought up, the less people will have felt like us, that people that we feel alone, because I think it'll be more common. Because I think I remember feeling alone in the sense that this topic has always been a taboo conversation. You know, you don't talk about how you feel, especially as a man. So you always felt alone because nobody else was saying this stuff. You know, like especially at a young age, nobody else was saying like, I feel bad and I don't understand why. You know, you just, especially as a boy, you just shut up and you like play, or you hide what I did instead of just stay in my room, you know, not say anything. So I think if we open this conversation up more and make it common ground for this to be, you know, like taught in school as well, to keep your mental health in check, we'll see less people being alone, I think.
I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you do now, like in your life? What are the goals in the future? What is it? I know you just started your broker
Yeah,
insurance.
life is good.
Life is good.
Oh, you're writing a book?
No. One day he's gonna write a book about
I was
his
gonna.
life. He's
I think
sharing
I
about
remembered.
that.
I remember because you told me like when you had the support group that you like reading books.
That's when that works.
I wanted to ask about that though. Are you like, so what's your idea for a book? Like, what's your passion?
Here's my why behind my book, right?
Here we go. I like this.
When I think I told you many times, when I'm naturally having a conversation with people anywhere about what I went through, there's always somebody who's listening, and they wait for me at the end or the following day when we're alone, and they approach me and say, hey, the same thing you went through, I'm going through right now, and you just gave me hope.
Yes.
That's the best feeling
I
in the
mean,
world.
I've done this, and now I purposely do this so they can hear me,
Yes.
you know, and it feels good. So now I feel like now I went through this for a reason. So I spoke to someone. I'm like, how can I reach more people, you know, about what I went through, so they can have some sort of, if I can impact one person,
Yeah.
that's good. And they were like, write a book
Write a book.
with the same thing you tell with conversations with people, share it in a writing format so people can read it and, you know, take it from there.
Yeah.
I like it. What do you how far are you? Like, have you started a book, or is it just in plans?
No, it's in the plans.
I like it. I like either way. I like it. I hope you achieve that, because we need more books. You know what I'm saying? I need to read more books. So it'd be cool to read a book about somebody I know.
Well, right now you're working on Contreras Legacy Brokers. That's a whole new, I think, success for you right now, starting your own, you know, like changing the legacy for your family. And and here you are, you know, after
Starting one.
starting one. You know, apart from, you know, being that leader in your family and the siblings to say, hey, I went through this. I'm sure this conversation has been brought up in your family, and you're that support system for your siblings and just your family in general, right?
Yeah, you nailed it. You know, with a traditional Mexican family, being the oldest, you're given a lot of tasks. Take care of your little brother, take him to school, watch him till I go through the doctor. Ahorita vengo, you know.
Yes.
So I grew up like that, and I didn't mind. I mean, I wasn't aware of what was going on,
Right.
but it's so naturally ingrained within me that I naturally go out and try to be helpful with people.
Okay.
You know, but life is good right now. You know, I can 100% say I recovered my life. I'm under control. Have control of everything. You know, like
That's
if I have a thought, if I have something that triggers something stressful, you know, I know what to do. I know what not to do.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and then when you feel that good and that confident, then you feel the need to take more challenges, and that's exactly what I
Very
did
true.
this summer.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that.
For real.
I'm sure that you noticed that there was a lot more stress, and you're going to be able to manage it because now you have the tools, and that's the beautiful part about it, that you know your triggers and you know yourself.
Yeah.
So one question that we ask all of our guests is, what would you tell your younger self, maybe that 16-year-old, if you could talk to that 16-year-old Jose right now, what would that advice look like?
So, number one is go seek professional help,
Okay.
because I waited too long. You know, I know people who feel the same way I felt, but they seek professional help within a couple of days, couple of weeks, maybe months. I waited for years, and it didn't get any better. You know, it got worse and worse and worse until like I couldn't take it anymore.
It's like you break a leg, you don't want to go see the doctors,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't grow back right, you know. And now you got like ET legs, you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
That's what I would tell my younger self.
That's awesome. That's great advice. And well, we're glad that you're here with us today. Thanks again, Jose, for sharing your story. And I look forward to bringing you so we could share it to the Spanish-speaking community. I think your story is very It's going to be very impactful for those that can listen to it. So for those watching our channel today, don't forget, seek professional help. It's out there. You know, don't be embarrassed. Whatever you're going through right now, it's something we've gone through, and you can overcome it. And sometimes, you know, you can't do it alone. Sometimes you need that professional help. I really like what you said about Gladys. She said, I'm going to give you medicine, but I'm going to be there to, you know, help you through it. And I feel like some people are scared of it because, like what you said, like, I don't want to be hooked on it. But it doesn't mean that you will. Just like if you find that professional that's actually going to take their time to say, like, we're going to do this together little by little.
it's communication, you know, like between you and you know, your psychiatrist. Especially if you don't communicate how you feel, then your psychiatrist also can't understand how well the drugs are working. So that's another thing, is like anything is communication. You have to communicate how you're feeling, and that's what we're trying to get across to, is express yourself. You know, it's okay to say, you know, I'm not feeling good, you know, or I'm feeling good. You know, you just got to be honest with yourself.
And that sometimes, like, you can't just count on like a pill being like the solution to everything. Sometimes we carry things emotionally inside of us that we also need to process with a professional. So it's got to be a combination of things like lifestyle changes, medication if you need it,
They're
therapy
tools.
if you need it.
They're not cures. You know, it's not supposed to just drop the pill and then
It's not a magic
you cool.
pill.
It's just a boost. You know, it's something that helps you along the way. You know, it's like a push. Like, all right, cool. Like, that's the way to go. And if you need to start, here's the start. Some medication, therapy, things of that nature. But at some point, of course, they want you to grip that on your own.
And our brains naturally have a lot of chemicals.
Yep.
That can help us feel even better than without medicine.
Very true.
So if you take advantage of that,
As well.
you know,
You just need to, just take advantage of your mind, like you said, especially, and the advantage of the resources that we got. So don't be scared to go to a professional who can hopefully give you the right information, you know.
Yes.
But thank you for watching tonight. Thank you for coming and being vulnerable again, and probably going to be vulnerable a second time, but this time in another language.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
So I'm sure we're gonna share your the information of people where people could get a hold of you. But where could people find you on social media? If I know if they have any insurance needs.
You don't have to give your
more
address.
than anything,
you don't have to give your address. That would be horrible.
Downtown Chicago.
They don't need to know where you're at that much. That close.
No, I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
We're Jose Contreras.
Okay.
If anybody looks for you, we have mutual friends. You as
Cool.
well, I think.
Alejandro
Yeah. So
y Violeta.
and then Instagram.
Instagram.
ContrerasJose.clb.
Hey,
And then my business, Contreras Legacy Brokers.
Awesome.
that's a
there.
cool name.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. Congratulations on the new milestones this year. And just thank you again so much. And
Thank you.
for our viewers, thank you for watching the story.
Thank you
and
for spending your time with us.
Yes. Leave a comment if you've experienced something like Jose and just want to, share your experience as well.
Please.
Again, smash that subscribe button if you want to continue watching our videos. Again, thank you so much for being here with us on Tuesday Night Podcast at Poiema Studio.
Stay safe and sane. We love you.
All right. Good night.
Buenos